Solutions Are the Problem by Krishnamurti. Hello, everyone. This is author PB Flower. Welcome to the 14th episode of my podcast. Today's topic is problems. Well, let's ponder on what Yuji said, that solutions are the problem. My interpretation is that before we have a problem, or as soon as we have a problem, we already have a notion of what the solution should be. And we do not accept anything else if it does not match that assumption. And maybe that is how the phrase, if there is a question, there's always an answer, came about, creating more problems. So let's take the eternal problem, the world hunger. We want to end the world hunger, right? Because we see that as a problem. But in nature, that is not an issue. If population is more than the available resources, starvation is the solution. Death is imminent. Anyway, but starvation might cause it earlier. But that's not acceptable to us. And however, it's not acceptable because we don't want to go to the root of things. We create problems and then we proceed to solve them. We breed knowing well we cannot perhaps sustain, that their resources are limited and we can't share it among all the people that we are, producing. So creating a problem of world hunger, poverty, etc. by overpopulation, when solution is quite simple, controlling just that, the population. But we don't like that. In the name of religion or personal freedom or simple pleasure seeking, whatever it might be. So let's read an excerpt from my book to understand this problem some more. So the premise is that the character Zenith and Eklavy, who are on Earth, are in this. And Zenith is watching news and it was covering the issues of refugee situation, and kids were the ones that were suffering the most here, and she was feeling really sorry for the whole thing. So Eklavy is responding to her misery by saying, "It is about perspective. Most stand on neutral ground and pass judgment. You need to experience both sides. Only then you can know their problems. Homeland country, hosting country, refugees or immigrants. I put them in one bucket. In the long run, it does not solve anything. People identify with certain ideas, and that is the problem. Refugees primarily need shelter, but it is only the beginning. They will need everything slowly, everything they left behind. If unchecked, sooner or later, they will convert the hosting country into their original country. They are looking to build a home, and home is where they came from. People want to be around a like-minded bunch that they can connect with. Refugees and immigrants take generations to belong, to be accepting, and in turn, accepted. Some do not belong ever. Their sense of identity is overbearing, consuming everything into their abyss." Zina did not get that, so she's asking, "Your point?" So Eklavy says, "Pointing out the conflict in them, duh." So Zina says, "Well, they're not leaving their home because they wanted to. They are being forced, and I mean refugees." So Eklavy says, "Exactly. If refugees did leave, then why long for what they left behind?" Goes for both refugees and immigrants, by the way. So Zenith pulled him back, darting an angry look. "It was not in their control. Refugees, I mean." So Eklavy replies uncaringly to that. "They did not fight for what was theirs. Says a lot about them." Goes for both refugees and immigrants. So Zenith asks, "What about the kids? What did they do to deserve this?" Because in the news she had seen that kids were suffering the most, and kids are our future, right? So Eklavy says, "Well, their parents did." So of course he is pointing out sex. Humans are the only species that engage in sex for other than furthering their population, and their discussion here on immigration or the refugee situation points out to the fact that most of our problem is probably stemming from population, maybe all of it. But we're not doing anything about it, or much anyway, because we don't like the solution. For whatever reason, religious, profit making, or simply the fact that we might not have problems anymore to deal with, and that would not be engaging to our perpetual chaotic state, leaving us baffled and bored. So another problem we have is, which is very widespread, is our mental state. Okay. The way I look at it is after some point, we begin to enjoy our state of misery, believe it or not. Some of us do. And we want to remain special, not blend in or dilute our suffering, and be unaccepting of the solution, which is inside, as mentioned before. Now, I'm not saying this from a neutral standpoint or someone who has read about it or someone who has a PhD in it. I have been there. And only now that I'm out of it, I can see that I too had a notion of what I wanted, of what I had lost, and how I wanted things to be. And so anything else wasn't acceptable. I did not want the solution that was being given to me. So let's read another excerpt to see some of the mental issues that we have. The premise here is that Zenith and Eklavya are discussing about society. Now, I have mentioned society previously in many podcasts, and how society forces us to behave in a certain way, so that everything can function normally or as per their standards. The Zenith here is pondering, why is the concept of society even there if there are so many imbalances and indifferences? So Eklavya brushed the bridge of her nose and leaned back at her desk. And then he says, initial concept was noble, to give purpose to everyone, protection to elders, women, and children, bring order of some sorts, seek a just living. Ironically, that is the root cause of many issues. Understand that the more freedom you get, the worse it hurts when it is taken away. Society does that. Parenting does that. Everyone talks of equality in a hideously divided world. No one is equal, so why force the idea? So Zenith asks, what do you mean? Eklavya explains, nothing matters. Status, class, gender, religion, or life. It is all ideas being fed. Go back to basics and simple living. It will all fall in place. But no, humans must mess it all up. Progress to further humanity by polluting the world that sustains them. Point out the difference and demand equality. So Zenith protested, but we want everyone to be treated equally. So Eklavya forced a short laugh and shook his head, and then said, then why say I'm not a man, I'm not a woman, or that I'm one of the two, or something else? And then say, treat me equal. Well, equal to who? The one you do not identify as? What's baffling is that the burden of an individual's choice is on others. Talk about entitlement. Zenith says, so you're against gender equality. Eklavya is amused by her response, and he says, you want to get in trouble by using the word gender? So Zenith responds by saying, no, but I mean, some people feel trapped in their body. So Eklavya responds, well, that has nothing to do with the body. Society and its conditioning requires them to behave in a certain way. The idea of normal obligates them. General acceptance pressurizes them. What tells you that you are trapped? So he's asking her. Now, Eklavya, as I said, is very objective. Okay, you have heard me talk about him previously in my other podcasts. He approaches everything objectively, not emotionally, like us humans. Because we just can't. We are too seized emotionally to be objective. It doesn't serve the purpose of making us feel special. As Eklavya said, gender identity will not be an issue if there were no societal norms, rules, or standards set in, or recognition given to only few, We would then be free to express whoever we were. Or maybe we would not even care to recognize that idea at all, as it would not need separation or recognition from anything or anyone, as it would be the same as others, not a problem that needs to be solved. Think about it. And now let's discuss the suffering, because when we are dissatisfied with our current state, it is all boxed into the word suffering. So here I'm going to read an excerpt from my series All Kalnan again. And here the premise is that the character Quetzal, she has met with a horrific accident and is now scarred all over her body, and she hates that. So the character Aster, who is the engineered being existing in one of the parallels in this universe, is with her. And Quetzal is bellowing, saying, why do I feel like I have never been happy? So Aster responds, you are dismissing happy moments by clouding them with the memories of your sufferings. You love hurting now. So Quetzal is super confused by that explanation. So she asks, why would I love that? Obviously, why would anyone love to suffer? So Aster explains, your sufferings made you a beneficiary of pity, sympathy, and compassion, making you feel special. So now you don't want to let go of that. So Quetzal refutes that. Obviously, anyone would. I don't want to be special or ask for anything else you mentioned. How do I do that? So Aster elaborated further to explain it to her. And he says, you cannot choose how you appear to others, but you can control your emotions. Be your one true self, no matter who it is. It should not be of any consequence if any being appreciates you in your native state. Your authority and reality are for you. So what Aster here said is that if your native state says you should be crying freely, then you should do that. Let it out. If it says you should be grumpy all the time, then by all means do that. Don't conform to the normal that society has set as the current standard, because we all know it keeps changing. But seriously, can we do that? When humans say, be yourself, can we be ourselves? What if my true self is a violent one? Can I do that? No, because that's not up to the standards of the society right now. Or if my true self says that I don't like to be clothed, I want to walk around naked. Can I do that? No, I can't, because the society has set the standards saying you can't walk around naked. It's not acceptable. So what is the solution then? So I guess in conclusion, we perhaps need to not have an idea of perfection in order to accept whatever it may be. And solution is always there to a problem. The question is, are we accepting of it? Well, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, this is author PB Flower signing off. Bye-bye.